Welcome to Turtleneck Tabletalk, the podcast that seeks insightful conversations while promoting the growth of our community. I'm one of your hosts, Devin, and this is our other host, Austin. And we are excited to be here with our first episode of season 2.
The first episode of season 2.
Yes.
I am so excited.
And with this season, we plan on highlighting the future of Wichita. Mm-hmm. We want to inspire, educate, and most importantly, entertain you by highlighting leaders in our community.
Yeah, and I'm a little nervous because we got one of the biggest ones here today. We got the Wichita superintendent, Kelly Bielefeld. How are you doing today, Kelly?
I am great. I didn't realize this was episode 1 of season 2.
Yes,
this is a big deal.
Yeah,
so
you are on.
I'm nervous too. I mean,
I kind of feel butterflies right now,
bit,
but it's all for the good because I think we got a great episode planned out ahead of us here because we're gonna get educated, we're gonna get inspired, and we're gonna entertain here today. So
that's great.
That's
Sounds
the goal
great.
of the conversation.
I'm excited to be here. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So I think if it's okay with you, we'll just start off. You
Let's
can
go.
kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, about your career path, and how you got to be where you are today.
Sure. Yeah. Well, currently, as of last July, Wichita Public Schools superintendent. I've been with Wichita Public Schools since 2020 and started off as the director of CTE and college and career readiness. So I did most of the high school programs, vocational pathways, college credit, that kind of stuff. Before that, I was in Clearwater, assistant superintendent, and then I was a principal most of my life. So an elementary principal for 13 years in Clearwater and at Oaklawn Elementary in Derby, at Andell Elementary, and then started teaching at the Goddard High School around 2000. So, went to K-State for my undergrad, went to WSU for my master's degree. So,
Yes,
that's right.
Yes.
So, that's kind of how I landed here.
And then you're here. Yeah, for sure. And you're doing a lot of cool different things, a lot of different things I want to talk about. Maybe the first cool thing is kind of something similar to what we got going on right now is how you get involved with the community in Wichita and especially the teachers. And you go in deep with 3 questions with Kelly Bielefeld.
I do.
That's on YouTube, and I've been watching a little bit of it. So what kind of inspired that, and how have you been working on that?
Yeah. So early on, July and August, I was talking to the team about kind of allowing the community to get to know me. I was probably a little bit more of an unknown person in the district, having only been in the district for 3 years prior to getting the job. So this was it started off as quick 3 questions for Kelly. And so like a kid or a parent or somebody would ask, what's your favorite book or what's your goal for the district or whatever. And so I would answer the questions. But we did about 6 or 7 of those. And at that point I was like, all right, I want to ask the questions. Like that. I don't want this just to be about me. I want this to be about helping me learn about the district. So,
Selfless leader.
yeah. So I go out and I ask, 3 questions. And if you've seen them, I usually try to have kind of 2 serious and then 1 kind of silly or fun or something kind of engaging. But really trying to run the gamut of schools and kids and high schools and elementary and pre-K and kindergarten. But we also try to tell the story of what's going on in the district. So. We have magnet schools. When those applications open up, I answered 3 questions or asked 3 questions about magnets. We've done some of our newcomer programs, some of our special CTE programs, sports, all sorts of things. So the idea is just kind of tell about the district through an engaging way. Hopefully.
Yeah.
So,
has there been anything like surprising or really funny that came of that?
anything surprising? I don't know about surprising. There's been a few. Anytime I've done anything with kids, they've been a little surprising. And I try to so I have high school kids myself.
Yeah.
And they've given me some questions to ask that I think are like kind of popular, like TikTok questions, like, is a hot dog a sandwich? And what's your unpopular opinion? I've heard that's like a thing,
Right.
So I've tried to embed some of those. And that's caught some people off guard every now and then because usually I don't prep people for them. I'm just like, what's your favorite gummy bear flavor or whatever. Sure. And so that's been kind of fun, but no big bloopers or anything
Nothing like
so
that.
far. No, which has been good.
That is good, but you always kind of want to hear if there's like a funny story.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm sure that goes well with all the teachers too. They love to be heard and get their opinion out there as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, that's kind of the idea. To hear from the field, hear from the people that are actually doing the work about what they like about it, about what they're doing, what's made it successful, and so yeah, that's the whole idea.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. Among that cool work, you got to start up the Future Ready Centers.
Yeah.
So for the people who don't know what those are, I thought that was cool learning about it. If you could tell the people what those are,
Sure. Yeah.
go right ahead.
I'll tell the people. You know,
Tell the people.
if the people want to know, I'll let the people
All
know.
30 people in our audience right now.
Hopefully we get more with this episode. You know, so we start when I came on in 2020. There was an old Dillon's building next to North High School that the district had purchased years and years ago, and they had started remodeling it, and it was just, I mean, literally just an open big space with concrete floor and lights in one classroom. And the superintendent, Dr. Alicia Thompson at the time, was like, you know, go figure it out. You know, what could you do with this? And so working with WSU Tech, we created kind of a new model for us in Wichita for how kids can go to school. Other districts do this kind of thing where instead of having a program at every high school, we have 8 high schools, that's kind of expensive to take everything and multiply it by 8. We put all the stuff in one spot, and then we bus the kids to the spot. So that's the original idea. It's like we can do cooler, better, more innovative things that cost more if we do it one place and then bring the kids to it. We also did it where it's every other day on a block schedule. So instead of a kid, like when a kid comes to WSU Tech, normally they're giving up about half a day of their high school schedule. This is just giving up 2 blocks instead of 4. So, and multiple on and off ramps, kids can come for a semester. If they don't like it, they can go back and get out of it. And then really aligning it with business and industry. So the one over there by North High was our first one. That's for manufacturing. Okay. So we do like CNC machines, 3D printers. There's like robot arms that like you can program to do things, which is super cool. Yes, there's a forklift simulator that you guys should come check out. So it's it has like 3 screens, and then there's actually a screen behind you, which is like the behind you, and it has all the gears and the pedals and everything, because we don't want to put 17-year-olds on forklifts and have them drive around. Because we know what would happen.
Yeah, that would make some great bonus content.
It might be a liability issue, but
maybe possibly.
So we do a simulation so kids can at least get the idea. We heard from a lot of businesses that the ability to drive a forklift, that's a skill that's needed, something that kids don't have. So we put that in there and have a bunch of simulators in there. So then the next year, actually, like right over here is the Future Ready Center for Healthcare. If students want to do a CNA, EMT certification, that sort of thing, same model. They can come, they go, every other day, and they can get their certifications and go straight into the workforce if they want to. So that's
rocks.
it. Yeah.
That's a great thing that I wish I had when I was in high school.
No kidding.
And you probably did too.
Yeah. Because actually, my niece just got through with the nursing program, and she's going to community college. But it's like
cool.
It was very helpful, and she got a lot of hands-on experience. So
That's the idea.
Shout out to Kelly.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll just give you all the credit.
That's a win. That's a win. Yeah.
I'm sure it was a great team effort. But
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah. No, that was definitely one of the things that I was excited to talk to you about. And also, I know that there's just a lot of changes going on with Wichita right now, and a strategic plan coming up this May. So you guys are prepping that. I'm sure that's a lot of your workload right now. Can you give us any insight to what that looks like?
Sure. Yeah. One of the key kind of, I guess, newer things to that is going to be around life readiness. So we heard a lot from the community about, school, you guys do a good job, kids can pass tests and all this kind of stuff, but are they ready for life, right? Do they know kind of how to navigate the world and how to get along with people, show up on time, show up at all, So we've added a component for the new strategic plan about life readiness. And so we're going to try to expand different opportunities at the high school level for kids to become life ready and kind of whatever plan they want to have, right? So if you want to go into college, maybe, getting ready for life is taking some college credit, making sure you have a good SAT or ACT score, and then maybe some exposure to some work-based learning internship or something like that. If you want to go a different route, maybe you want to be a firefighter, you want to go to technical college, maybe you go get some credentials, and maybe you do some community service, or, it just really depends on what the kid's plan is. Yeah. But trying to give them multiple ways to prepare for life. We know that things like extracurricular activities, like rugby, for example, or, other sports, those help kids. You guys learn as much on the field. Do they call it a field? Is it a rugby?
It's a pitch.
It's a pitch. Okay, so
it's
like soccer.
Pitch.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So you learn more. You learn a lot on the pitch.
Yeah.
About communication and teamwork and perseverance and all that kind of stuff. Then as you do in a college classroom, sitting there hearing a lecture, right? So you need both of them, but a lot of those life experiences, they aren't learned in the classroom. You learn it in the workplace. You learn it on an internship at a job site. You learn it at Boy Scouts or Eagles, Cub Scouts. 4-H, community service, nonprofits, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So really working with the community to get kids out there, involved in, getting ready for a well-rounded life. It's more than just being able to pass a test or, get through the certain curriculum. That's what we heard from the community is kids need, the change of tire, how to cook macaroni and cheese, how to balance your checkbook.
That was a learning curve for me.
Was it?
My first year in college. But then we got it down. And that was all we ate the entire summer. So, that was. I appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah,
because it would have helped me.
Yeah,
but we could have got some boiler. How do you do this? But that's definitely something that I'm looking forward to see what that looks like.
Yeah.
Do you have any like specific things that you can share that you think are going to be implemented into that?
Well, I think that would be part of it. The other thing,
mac and cheese,
mac and cheese, mac and cheese class.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
That would be.
I like that.
Yeah, we should think about that. The other piece would be, our last strategic plan had a piece about safety, school safety in it.
Yeah,
we've added the word belonging to that to create a sense. We want schools to be safe and kids to feel like they belong. That's part of, I think, more so kind of post-COVID, the lack of community, the lack of connection that some kids felt as we came back in person and brought kids back into school. Just this feeling that everybody belongs, no matter where you come from or who you are, we'll take you, we'll love you, and we want you to be here. But to be kind of intentional about that sense of belonging, right? That it isn't just happenstance, but every teacher creates a culture and climate where everyone feels like they're connected. We know everyone's name. We know if they're gone, that we need to check up on them and care about them. And so we hope that shows up in attendance rates and participation in activities and those sorts of things. But that'll be another new-ish kind of a tweak to it.
Sure.
And then we have, we'll have our traditional kind of academic goals that we want kids to do well academically on the assessments that we give and, be ready for college. So whatever they want to do.
Whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
I've heard gap years are, the new thing. So could be that, could be college. But yeah, definitely. Another thing that is also changes, and I'm sure you've dealt with a lot within this past, I think 6 months or so, is some of the schools having to be closed down.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. And how do you deal with that, and how do you kind of go about addressing that, and what are your whole thoughts on that?
Yeah,
scenario?
yeah. It's been tough, These are hard-hitting questions.
I'm getting him out the gate,
No, I'm glad you brought it up because
Yeah.
it's like it kind of has sucked up all the oxygen these last few months because it's such an important decision. It's such an impactful decision. We all love our schools. To that sense of belonging that I was just speaking, right?
That's kind of what triggered it.
Yeah,
in my mind. That
so we ask our
bit.
principals, we're like, okay, do this, right? Create a community, create a sense of belonging. And then the new superintendent comes in and says, "Yeah, we're just going to blow all that up," and it might feel that way from their end, right? That it feels like we've created this cool school culture, and now it is no more. But the fact of the matter is, we've had a decline in enrollment, right? We have aging buildings that we haven't had a kind of a major infrastructure bond issue type thing, since 2008. So. The average age of our buildings is over 60 years old. We have about 10 million square feet of schools. So, and that's part of what in Wichita, I think it's hard to wrap your head around if you're not familiar with it. But We're the largest district in the state, 47,000 kids.
Wow.
One of the largest districts in the nation. We're in the top 100 districts as far as size go in the nation. We have about 112 different languages spoken in the district.
That's a cool stat.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Yes,
stat.
yes.
No
So
clue.
like 103 countries of origin, and that's we've seen a huge. This is a whole other kind of topic, but a huge influx in refugee kids this year for kind of all sorts of reasons. But you know, and we're diverse. You know, we're a majority minority district. You know, so all of that presents its own challenges, right? But we have a lot of older buildings. Our student population's dropped about 8% over the past few years. So, and then the biggest issue is we couldn't find teachers, especially after COVID. We have continued vacancies, you know, year after year. And so when we have this need for teachers, and then we have some smaller buildings that have teachers, and if you close that building and take those teachers and put them out in other classrooms, you know, you fill all of your positions. That's really one of the solutions that we're trying to solve, or one of the problems we're trying to solve. That doesn't make it easy, though, right?
Sure it doesn't.
It's super hard, and you know, families have come to know teachers and come to love schools. That, you know, it was right across the street from my house. Now I got to walk or ride a bus or do whatever. You know, Park Elementary was one that the board voted to close, and that was literally kind of one of the original schools in Wichita, right? Like, it's right by downtown on, you know, 9th and Main, I think. And, you know, kind of almost predates what we know of as the public school system, right? Like, Park Street, Park Street is no more. I think it's First Street now. But anyway, that was named after that. It used to be, like, originally in the 1880s, it was like the elite school in Wichita. And so, like, think of all that history and like generations and literally thousands of people that have gone through there. You know, that's profound. That means a lot. And those decisions are you know, we didn't take those lightly, right? That's an extremely challenging thing to do. But, you know, the numbers are the numbers, and it's trying to be objective with it. You know, we know we had budget constraints. You know, we have declining enrollment, and we had to make some really hard decisions. So yep,
That is tough. But would there be this came to my mind when you said this, and that's not always a good thing when ideas come into my head. But
there's not a red light up here that's just
Justin needs to add that right there. Austin's got an idea. Shut his microphone off right now. But I wondered if there would be like a glimmer of hope if those buildings could be used for maybe like a future ready center, and we could repurpose them like that.
Yeah, for sure. So we didn't commit to any decisions about the buildings,
Okay.
and some of them. Truthfully, aren't super old, and we have put some money into them recently. So we might repurpose them for our own use. We might work with, you know, other community members on their use, or we might use the property or the building for something else down the road. So you're thinking kind of how we're thinking, in that, you know, some buildings might be, you know, while it doesn't make a great elementary school right now, could be something that high school kids could use, you know, based on the location or the size or whatever. So those are things that we're currently discussing, and we're hoping to have over these next few months what we're calling a master plan, so like a 10-year plan for what all is going to happen with all of the schools in the district and all of the facilities. But we couldn't wait. You know, if we were going to make a decision about closing a school for next August, we needed to do that. So we kind of put the cart before the horse a little bit. We made these decisions about closing schools, and now we're going to have a bigger plan that's going to come up with those ideas for usage as far as what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good idea. So
You gotta kick it off, dude. I don't.
All
All right.
I don't know, you know, where we were.
Yeah, we can. You know, we can start a new segment that I actually came up with. So another idea that may not be the greatest, but we're gonna do it anyways.
sure.
This segment is called "What Do You Say to People Who Say?"
Okay.
And in this scenario, these people say, "I want to go to private school because it's better than public school." What do you say to those people?
That's I love this segment.
Yeah.
This is good. You know, every educational decision has, you know, pros and cons to it, right? No matter what you pick as a parent, if you pick private school, there's pros to that, there's cons to that. public school has pros and cons, homeschool, parochial school, whatever the choice is. And I've kind of been, around the block, so to speak. So most of my career has been in public education, but I was a principal at a Catholic school for 2 years. So I kind of know that world a little bit. We've never homeschooled our kids, but during COVID, we did kind of a virtual homeschool thing.
Yeah.
And my wife did not love it. So yeah, they're back in school now, but we did some things to take precautions and all that kind of stuff. So there's pros and cons to all of it, right? So I think the perception that private is better is kind of a flawed assumption, right? I'll use a basketball analogy instead of a rugby analogy, but let's say you're going to the Olympics with a team, and you get to pick any 12 guys you want to go to your team. And Devin, he has an Olympic team, but they're random. You get a random 12 guys, right? So who do you think's going to win? Whose scores are going to be better? Who's going to perform, right?
I would think that.
So it's a flawed assumption because private schools get to pick their kids, right? And I'm not saying that's bad, but that is what it is. If a kid is disabled, if a kid doesn't speak English, if a kid blah, 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 they won't take those kids, right? Where we do we're different. We do something different. We take every kid. We take a lot of their kids when they drop out of private school, right? We take those kids. So that isn't to say one's necessarily better than the other, but they are different. And so I think a lot of people try to compare them and say, well, this is an A+ school and this is an F school or whatever. Well, to the basketball example, is it a fair fight? Are we really comparing apples to apples? That isn't to say we're perfect and we're doing great. I mean, there's places we can improve as a system too, to get better outcomes for kids, to get achievement up. But I think that perception is out there from some parents, and that because it's private, it's better, and it's just, in my opinion, that's just not the case. So that's when someone says that to me, that's what I'd say to them.
That's what you'd say back.
Yep.
That was a great.
Yeah, you like
segment.
that? You like
that? Was a great answer to the first segment we did. So, congrats on it.
All right.
Well done.
So can you break down for people who might not be so familiar with exactly what you do and all the responsibilities, because you have a lot that's on your plate. Can you kind of break down what almost like a day-to-day is like for you and what all you are responsible for?
Yeah, that's a good question. So technically, the Board of Education, so there's 7 people that are publicly elected, and technically they have one employee, and that's me. So they hire one person, and then I hire everybody else. Like in theory, that's how how it should work.
That's how the structure.
That's how the structure works. Okay. So to break it down, kind of in a general sense, it's should be about a third, and a third. So about a third of my time is working with the board, who are my bosses, and there's seven bosses with 7 different, opinions and values, and so that takes time. About a third of my time is then on kind of internal workings of improving the system, what goes on, hiring my team, my leadership team, and then there's about a third that's kind of the community aspect of, either being visible out in the community, serving on boards in the community, being out and about and engaged with people from, the Chamber of Commerce, the Greater Wichita Partnership, a lot of our area nonprofits, other community organizations,
random podcasts.
Right, exactly, yeah. So really, yeah. I mean, yeah, this would count in that third
nice.
Community bucket, right?
Sweet.
So that's every week and every day. It doesn't kind of flow like that. The weeks that we have board meetings are pretty intensive with kind of board communication. And then other times, depending on what else is going on, it's other things. So, but yeah, that's kind of the main part of it. That every day is quite a bit different, to be honest. A lot of meetings, but a lot of I really love getting out in schools. I've been in every elementary school this year, so we have 54 elementary schools, which is a lot. We have about 90 total buildings, and other than a couple high schools I haven't been in. This year, I've pretty much hit every school that I've gone to visit. So that's been cool, but that's kind of my favorite part of the job, is getting out, being around kids, being out in the community, doing that kind of stuff. So,
okay. So you highlighted what one of your favorite parts of your job is.
Yeah.
So, what is one of your least favorite parts of the job?
Ooh, back to the hard-hitting
Yes.
questions.
That is a hard-hitting question.
Can I guess?
Yes, I would like you to.
I want to hear your guess too. It's got to be the parents.
That's what my first thought was.
It's got to be the parents.
That can be the most challenging, but it's funny because
Challenges and opportunity. This is
you like it? It's not my first rodeo. But it's funny because a random parent will email me, hey, my kid's whatever being bullied or something like that, and I think they email me because they don't know where to go, right? They know what a superintendent is, and so they know how to get in touch with me. But the reality is, like, I am the furthest person who can actually help them with that. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
because I have to ask the assistant superintendent, who then asks the principal, who then asks the teacher, who then, like, I'm really, really far removed from a lot of that kind of stuff. So the parent things that come up aren't directly, associated with me a lot of the time, which makes me, that can be a challenge because I feel a little like I can't give the help that, they're like,
Sure.
oh, I want help. And you can't really be the one to help them. But that's, in a big system, that's just how it is. If you had a problem with, your Delta airline ticket, emailing the CEO, you're probably not going to get, it's customer service people. That's the people that can actually help you. So, I think there's some, truthfully, one of the things I don't love about the job is kind of the Topeka legislative piece of it. There's some superintendents that are very into that and do a lot of that. And I, that's just not my, it's a part of the job that I have to do, but it's just not my cup of tea as far as the, lobbying and,
All that
voting.
stuff.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
Policy.
Yeah, the
Yes,
politicking. So,
Yeah.
I don't love that piece of it, but
That's going to get especially fun in the election year.
yes,
probably.
exactly. Yeah, I think this session really has been pretty quiet because it's an election year, and as it ramps up in the fall, that'll be interesting, and we'll see what happens.
You just
So-
might see Kelly absent from a few of the meetings. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that as a job, but I also wasn't a superintendent.
So,
so
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I did
all
not
this
see
is
that.
new
Well,
to
and
us.
some superintendents do very little of that, but there's some that are, they're in Topeka a lot and they're talking to people a lot and testifying and all that kind of stuff. So,
There you go.
that's part of it.
There
So,
you go.
Yeah,
Not something that really inspires you.
that is not something that really inspires me. Yeah.
Well, we're going to get into the inspiring part of our
love it.
podcast where we have another segment. And we don't have any sponsors, but it'd be cool if we have a segment presented by your favorite candy bar or something like that. But this segment is doesn't have a name yet, but we want you to put your top 4 personal inspirational inspirational people on your Mount Rushmore. Who's
Okay.
your Mount Rushmore
Of people
of
that
inspiration?
of people who inspire me.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
And you should get a candy bar to sponsor.
Maybe
this
that wouldn't be
or
the appropriate
Mounds.
sponsor.
Maybe
Yeah,
Mounds.
Maybe like
it's
a
Mount Rushmore. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
There
I
you
don't
go.
know.
Ah,
Yeah, you can.
okay.
I'm surprised you don't have
Yeah.
some influencer like Stanley Cups or something here.
Oh
you know,
yeah,
like
no, we have Legos
we-
on a shelf over here that did not make the cut. But we're working on it.
Yeah, you're
we're
working on it.
working it. This is only season 2.
Yes.
It's only up
That's
from
true.
here.
That's true. I got you.
We're getting there.
Okay. Presidential, so I grew up in Abilene, which is home of President Eisenhower.
there you go.
Yeah, you know where Abilene's at. So presidential history has always been something my wife and I like. So my favorite president would be on there, and that's Truman, Harry S. Truman.
Okay.
And it's funny because I kind of identify, although, dropping atomic bombs on Japan is not like closing schools, but
Crisis.
It's
making
big,
hard decisions, right?
To some people, they would.
Well, yeah. I mean, it has been traumatic. I mean, to say the least. But in the face of like really hard decisions, having the steadfastness to go forward with it and be bold and be brave and to do what you think is right ultimately. So yeah, Truman would be one. I'm a big Nelson Mandela fan. I mean, I feel like there's so much just the way he lived his life and kind of who he was as a person. A lot of inspiration there. Kind of locally, I know the kind of cliche, but my wife, if she ever listens to this, she would be super embarrassed that I said her name. But she's a force of nature. She is like one of those people that can kind of get anything done, and you tell her she can't do it, she'll be like, yeah, watch me.
Yeah.
And I find that inspirational, right? Like to see somebody that's like super determined and going to make it happen no matter what. So even though she wouldn't like me saying that, she would definitely be on there.
Fantastic answer.
Great answer. Best answer.
Yeah. There you go.
Best
All right.
answer.
We'll see what the other guests say. That's probably
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
Don't give him my answer. And I was trying to think of someone. There's a couple people kind of in my educational life that have brought me a lot of inspiration. One of my early mentors was a guy named Dr. Fred Saab. He lived up in Newton, and he's passed away since then. But he was he was retired from kind of the public school system, and he was my mentor when I was a principal at St. Patrick's in Kingman, which is Catholic school. So he was working for the diocese. I was 26 years old when I got that principal job. I don't know how. I don't know who would hire someone who's 26 to be a principal of a school. But anyway, and so he was like my first mentor, and was very, very dry, very sarcastic, very to the point. He was a polio survivor, so he had really persevered in life and had a ton of wisdom, and would just, he would tell me straight, but he would also like make me better at the same time. Like encouragement and being honest and being straightforward. So, I know that's. If that was a Mount Rushmore, that would be a pretty diverse group of people on there. But so off the top of my head, there you go.
I like that. We'll get
that.
the editors to put
like something. We'll get those pictures.
I'm not putting that pressure on you. That would be fun though.
Maybe we could 3D print it at the Future Ready Center. Maybe that would be.
I like that.
That would be
content.
I like that.
There we go.
Bonus content.
Just always thinking.
Yes.
Ideas.
Ideas.
You never turn that brain off.
You're the man, Kelly.
That'd be fun. Although my wife really probably wouldn't like her picture 3D printed either. I don't know if she'd love that either.
Just hold still while we take a scan of your face here. No reason.
It's not for any reason. Yeah, just ignore it.
Oh man, yeah, that would be a sight. We'll work on that.
Okay, there you go.
Make that happen. So, we can see what we can do.
Yeah. Well, good segment though. Yeah, that's
appreciate
a good
it.
one.
Appreciate it. Yeah. We tried to get like 3 different ones, but we settled on the 2, the Mount Rushmore and the what do you say to people who say?
Yes.
But yeah, we wanted to get an inspiring, entertaining, and a educational podcast here. So
yep, I love it.
That's what we're trying to do. Another question I had was for Kelly as a child. What would your ideal field trip be?
A field trip as a child?
Yeah.
Whew, that's a good question. So we grew up. I grew up on a farm, pretty much in the middle of nowhere, right? So I had a pretty limited view. That's why I can't roller skate. It's because we never went roller skating.
I'm with you.
Yeah, you can't roller skate either.
Not good.
Yeah, no, I'm not good either. Yeah. I kind of avoid it at this point in my life. But, so truthfully, probably a fairly limited worldview early on in life. And then in middle school, I was able to go to D.C. on a class trip that was kind of life-changing. First time on a plane, first time out of Kansas, all those sorts of things. Got to meet Bob Dole, which was super cool. Yeah, go to his office and everything. So early on in life, I don't know. I mean, it probably would have been not super grandiose. You know what I mean? Like as a kid, I think when I got to high school, probably a field trip to Europe or something bougie like that would have sounded cool. But that's a good question. Yeah.
What would it be now?
I was just talking to my wife about this because somebody said like, what's on your bucket list? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know to have like a travel bucket list. We pretty much go to the beach anytime we go somewhere.
Okay.
Love the beach. We're headed there at the end of the month. So just like completely, leave the phone in the room, like just sit on the beach and do nothing. Like that's kind of our vacation now.
Awesome, right?
Yeah, I know, doesn't it? Yeah. So I don't think we do enough of that in life, all of us. But I'd love to. Again, I'd love to. Go over to Europe and travel around there some. And my wife and I are on kind of different levels of kind of adventurous. I'd love love to go to Dubai or something like that. And I don't
Okay.
think she had
She
any interest.
No
in,
go.
No go on that. You know? But anyway, so
We'll still keep her on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah,
she's still there.
she still inspires
got
me.
that spot, you know. Yeah.
she'll go to the beach and I'll go. Whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
That's
kind of
awesome.
speaking of that, because you have a big family, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
How do you balance everything? Because how many children do you
We
have?
have 8 children.
8 children.
Yeah.
Yes.
Our oldest is 20 years old. He's a sophomore in college, and our youngest is 6. Just turned 6 2 weeks ago. So yeah, it's I get asked that a lot, and it is able. You know, I do feel like I'm able to balance it. It's busy, of course.
I was
and
going to
there's
say, because that feels like that would be a full-time job in itself. just
yeah.
raising the
That's
kids.
kind of all we've ever known, though. Like my second oldest, she's a senior right now. She was born when I became a principal, so they've never really known a life where we aren't, you know, kind of running and going, and you know, because principal life is busy too. It's got its whole different pace. Time in the summer off, but during the school year, you know, super busy. And you know, we have our kids in lots of activities, play a lot of soccer, do a lot of other things. So it's pretty busy. You know what I mean? Like from 6 in the morning till 10 every day. It's just go. But I love that. I feed off of that. Like, you know, I love the beach too, right? I love to unplug and do that piece, which is probably why we need the beach, is because we run so much. But yeah, you know, I feel like kind of early on in our marriage, or even when we were dating, before we were even married or anything, you know, my wife and I were in leadership roles and organizations, and you know, we went hard, right? You know, we were busy, and it's kind of my mantra was, you know, sleep when you're dead, right? Like,
Yeah.
we got a lot to do. We got a lot.
Busyness is almost like a currency, almost.
A little
like,
bit.
A little bit, yeah.
People like, oh, you're really busy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt that way. I don't know if that was something you felt too, maybe.
Yeah, not necessarily intentionally, but it's weird and maybe a little sadistic, but I do love to work. Like, work feeds me, and I love to create, and I love to plan and organize. And so, you know, it isn't like, you know, when I hear about people getting burned out, maybe I'll get there someday, right? Maybe there'll be all sorts of other stuff, but you know, burnout isn't something that I think about much. I just go, right? We're just doing work, and we're getting things done, and hopefully making a huge difference for kids. That's our whole goal. Both my own kids at home and all the kids in the district. So,
Yeah. It almost seems like it would be hard to get burnt out just because you're doing something that you love. Because it's just, even from this conversation, you can just see the passion and the joy when you're talking about these different things that deals with what you do. So, I mean, I feel like when you're saying like it feeds you, like it really radiates from speaking to you and everything. So,
yeah. Well, and I kind of feel like I owe that to the kids of the district, right? I mean, we have kids that are growing up in poverty or new to the country, all sorts of things. And I mean, if I can't bring my best and my energy to them every day, you know, I'm probably not the right guy for the job. So I do love it. I have felt like, you know, there's been challenges and bumps this year for sure, but we're headed in a great direction. The future's bright. We got a lot of good things on the horizon. Maybe season 2, if you want to have me back, I can kind of update you on, or season 3. I mean, season 3. Sorry, sorry, I'll have to edit that. Season 3. You know, but I do think, you know, the future's bright. Wichita is an amazing community. I mean, it really is. It's a huge small town, right? Like, a lot of people know each other. A lot of people are connected, and we've got the people here in the community that can really change the trajectory for all of us, right? When our kids at Wichita Public Schools do well, we all do well, right? When our kids do better, we do better. We have a safer, more productive community when our kids graduate high school. So we all need to work together. But we got the right people in Wichita to do it. I mean, I think the future is very bright. So, yeah.
Yeah. That was inspirational, right?
There you go. All right.
Inspirational.
Thank you so much for that.
Great closer. Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't have any more questions. Maybe we could finish out on a piece of advice. Is there any advice you'd like to give to our audience, or maybe to kids out here in the Wichita community?
Advice, yeah. I think advice to kids, you know, get involved, right? Like, say yes when you get in. You know, when you have opportunities come up, the door's open. You know, take a chance, walk through it. And you won't regret it. You may not love what's on the other side of the door, but you can learn something from it. And kind of the adage I use a lot in my own professional kind of leadership I think it's a Chinese proverb.
Confucius.
Yeah, something like that. That, never take down a fence unless you know why it was put up. And I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. Especially, I like to move fast. I like to, let's have action. But you need to always, the people that came before us made decisions for reasons, and it's important that we understand those reasons, why the decision was made. That doesn't mean the fence still needs to be there, but before we just go plowing it down, we need to make sure we know what the unintended consequences might be of what we're doing. So there you go.
Well said.
There you go. That's
well
my
said.
wisdom.
Yeah,
I appreciate
That's
it.
all I got.
So knowledgeable and so inspired.
This is a good energy that I'm taking out
All
here
right.
and
All right,
bringing
good.
some wisdom to the rest of my day.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming on here, Kelly. It was a blast having you. Possibly coming on maybe season 3,
All
seeing
right.
what the future looks like. But I can't say enough good things about you. It's really been a pleasure knowing you.
Yes. Likewise.
and
Yeah.
do it. So yeah.
I'm honored to be on here, and thank you guys for the opportunity. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for tuning in to our episode. Make sure and hit that subscribe and that like button and tune in as we explore more about the future of Wichita with our upcoming episodes.